Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. Now that the manga is quite over and we are now left with more questions that we started with. And now I'm also thinking about one of my favorite things that I always imagine, what if scenarios. And here we're thinking about what if Aoi Todo had a domain expansion. But before we get into that, I want to address the cursed spirit in the room, my YouTube channel. As you can see, it's quite new. I have little to no followers except for the one guy following me, EMP Minelli. Shout out to you. Thank you for following me. And I just want to say that I know this is probably not the right approach to creating a YouTube channel, but I've been thinking about it for a while and I finally made up my mind to join the YouTube creators gang. So please guys, give me a chance to show you that I am worth your subscription, your like, and your comments. Okay guys, just give me some time to cook. Jujutsu Kaisen domain expansions. We know this is one of the favorite things we like to hear whenever we're watching Jujutsu Kaisen. Gives you the craziest thrills and just makes you wonder like, oh, this feels good. It's akin to a mana zone. Mana Zone is like an easier version of this. The real direct counterpart to domain expansion in another anime that we talk about is the one and only Bankai. When I was working on this video, I thought to myself, JJK has been around for years. There is thousands, hundreds of videos on YouTube about Jujutsu Kaisen, domain expansion, curse energy, and how they work, and all the better YouTubers out there have already done the job easy for me. So I thought to myself, do I still need to explain what a domain expansion is? Do I still need to explain how curse energy works? Yes? No? A little bit of both? Well, I decided to go with just the definition and a brief explanation of how domain expansions work, what they are, and a little bit of lore about them. So bear with me while I give you this little bit of intel in case you still need it somehow. I'm pretty sure anybody watching this video doesn't need that, but still, I'm gonna explain it anyways. Domain expansion. So, domain expansions. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, there's a few techniques that can stand up to that of a domain expansion. It's an elite and terrifying ability reserved for the strongest sorcerers only. Domains are created by unleashing the sorcerer's innate curse technique into a sealed space constructed entirely from curse energy. Once inside, the caster gains absolute control, embedding their curse ability into the very laws of that space. Domains don't just enhance techniques, they make them inescapable. Within a fully formed lethal domain, we know there are lethal and non-lethal domains. Every attack is guaranteed to hit, no matter how fast and powerful the target is. Characters like even Gojos sometimes struggle with the domains of other powerful sorcerers and are only able to counter these by using their own domains. So, for a powerful ability like this, it comes with a price. There is a price for activating your domain. And depending on the characters, it can come in different form, but there's a general layout, which is usually extreme energy drain from using your domain, a risk of burning out one's technique, and an immense technical skill just to pull it off. It's just telling you that you have to be built different in order to have a domain expansion. Most domain users enclose their space inside a spherical barrier. It's the closure that guarantees the sure hits, but legends like the one and only Sukuna bypass even that rule, creating an open domain that still hit with divine precision like painting on air instead of a canvas. Also, we have to talk about Kenjaku, who had a similar ability, but we never really got to see him use it to its full extent, but his domain was an open domain. Not all domains are made to kill. Some, like Higuruma's courtroom or Hakari's jackpot, will change the rules without dealing fatal damage, and many sorcerers never even master the true domain, instead relying on partial or incomplete versions that enhance their powers but lack the guaranteed hit. In case here, we look at our boy Megumi Fushiguro. Chimera Shadow Garden is an incomplete domain. Megumi is unable to close his domain within a specified space, but instead he uses the environment as the boundaries for his domain. We see him using this against the Finger Bearer, where he used the cave as a basis for his domain boundaries. Also, later in manga, spoiler, he uses the same thing in the gymnasium against Reggie. Countering a domain is rare and difficult. There's like maybe only 3 ways to counter a domain. There's simple domains, domain expansions, and barriers like the Hollow Weaker basket that can cancel the short can miss effect of a domain. But escaping one's trap in a domain is nearly impossible without outside help. Mastering a domain is the peak of Jujutsu sorcery power. So what would happen if our boy, our Besto Friendo, our brother, Aoi Todo, the rhythm-loving, battle-obsessed brawler Takada-chan fan, had a domain of his own? What if Aoi Todo had a domain expansion? Aoi Todo is no ordinary fighter, so if we're looking at his personality and his fighting style, Todo is a brawler with an extremely tactical mind. Mind you, he has a 53,000 IQ. He is the smartest person in JJK. You know his domain expansion would be as powerful and as versatile and as crazy as his thinking ability. He analyzes his opponent's moves in real time and adapts to them. His style is about overwhelming force, deception, and maximizing his physical abilities through intelligent use of his curse technique, which is crazy to think about how much Todo had potential. With his curse technique, Boogie Woogie, he transformed the battlefield into a chessboard of instant teleportation, using a single clap to outmaneuver the deadliest foes, like a knight. Picture a knight that can skip all the 6 classes around him. But he's not limited to the 6 square rule. He can jump literally anywhere he wants on the board, and this is insane. His base curse technique, Boogie Woogie, is simple yet incredibly effective technique that lets him switch places with anything that has curse energy. That is, people or objects imbued with curse energy. Say objects imbued with curse energy, here we're talking about, say, curse weapons, or say for example the throw of the stone that he did with Itadori against Mahito that worked to as a technique. We're going to look at something similar when we talk about his domain expansion, and he does this by the simple, magnificent act of the applaud. It's instantaneous and allows for extreme mobility, confusion tactics, and deceptive attacks. Todo is also an exceptional hand-to-hand combatant with high intellect in battle and incredible physical strength. His physique, his strength, his mind, his 53,000 IQ, I'm gonna be talking a lot about that, is off the charts, and it makes him one of the most dangerous elements in JJK. There's an aspect of misdirection to his power. He can fake out claps too, or use multiple swaps rapidly. Purely technique based, not directly offensive, but deadly when used smartly. When you have a brain with that level of IQ, I sound like a broken record, but we all know how much that is true. So when trying to bring his domain expansion into existence, we can take these core elements of high level movement, battlefield control, and misdirections and involve them into a domain that feels like a natural upgrade to this. Coming, our topic of today, domain expansion. Yoiki Tenkai. Butorakuen Shafuru Arena. How was that? I tried my best. I tried my best doing the domain expansion voice thingy. So, I tried workshopping a number of ideas for this domain expansion, and I was like, domain expansion. Clap them cheeks. Okay, no. I'm gonna be honest, I had a lot of silly ideas that would really match Todo's personality, because I feel like despite being really smart, Todo's naming of his domain expansion would have been something really silly that everyone would have made fun of him. But then I thought to myself, I might not do so much good to my YouTube video, so I'll try something serious. So this is where I came up with Buto Rakuen Shafuru Arena. Basically, I tried translating it. I tried to make it work like a real Japanese thing based on like Todo's personality, what he would like, and it comes out as the Dance Paradise Shuffle Arena, which feels like a fitting mix of flair and chaos when we're looking at someone like Todo. Another core element of having a domain expansion is hand signs to activate them. I thought of the simplest way to do this for Todo would be a unique double clap, like in rapid succession, followed by him like extending his hands and like starting a show. You know, like when the performer opens his hands out and it's like, let the show begin. And I would really wish Todo would do something like hit the double clap and then hit the T-pose, the epic badass T-pose that all the most powerful characters hit in anime, which will make it so much insane. What would his domain look like inside? So the domain would manifest itself like, when I was thinking about this, I struggled a lot because sometimes my ideas were a little limited, but I just finally had to choose something to work with. So it would be like a music theme type of ginormous Colosseum that is suspended in absolute darkness of a void where you can that's the only thing you see. Takada-chan in it, I don't know, maybe, or something similar to that, where there's like crazy amounts of lights going on. You're having a lot of light shows, you're having like tiles, the floor looks like a checkboard, and there is like ginormous speakers pulsating with an invisible beat. Here's the idea for the beat. I will come to that. But then also there's echoes clapping, bouncing around constantly, making it almost impossible to tell where the real clap is gonna be coming from. Another aspect that I thought this domain would have is like walls made of mirrors that distort and reflect cursed energy into every object, making it a Boogie Woogie user's wet dream. Just imagine, once the domain is created, every single object being in there has been marked with cursed energy, and he can swap at any time he wants. Let's look at the range of this technique. It should be something around 30 meters or maybe smaller, say 20 meters, because I'm thinking to the bigger it is, the more cursed energy you have to expend. But considering the points that I'm gonna bring into this video, you're gonna see that this is a very energy demanding technique that is in response to the amount of power up it's giving you. So let's say maybe 20 meters, which is not too big, and that would fit Todo's close range brawler type fight, and it can slightly be extended due to his physical ability, his ability to control his curse energy, or maybe some binding vows that he might set with himself in order to like modify his domain expansion. Now, let's look at the sure hit effect of his domain. Infinite Shuffle. Inside the domain, Todo can clap here in quotes, and swap any targets with cursed energy or cursed objects without needing physical claps anymore. It becomes a mental trigger allowing him for more flexibility and complete utterly disorientation of the enemy. Even projectiles and curse techniques can be swapped mid-air. Every attack within the domain is redirected to hit with surgical precision. Todo doesn't need to clap anymore. There is already claps going on, but here is the catch. You remember I mentioned speakers earlier, right? This beat is only audible to Todo and whichever ally he comes into the domain with. They can sync to the beat and they would be swapping position based on that beat. But then the enemy doesn't know about this beat, so he can't match their pace. When I said something about every attack within the domain is redirected to hit with surgical precision, let's say we picture something like Ameno Tejikara. Yuji and Todo make their plan, and the plan is, brother, I want you to hit me with a black flash, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hit you with a black flash. They charge up their technique, their power, their curse energy. They go towards each other. They charge up the black flash. They're about to hit each other with the black flash. Kokusen, last minute when they're about to hit each other, swaps. Imagine how sick, insane that would be. That would be so sick and very painful for whoever's gonna be in the middle of that punch. Madara was able to escape his own because he had his limbo clones to like help block it. But if that Rasengan and the Chidori hit him, that would have been major damage. So imagine what this can do. Except they're fighting someone like Mahito where only one of the punches is gonna do effect, because Mahito, you can only hurt Mahito if you can touch his soul. But if any other curse spirit, like let's say Hanami, imagine when Todo and Yuji were fighting Hanami and they did something like double black flash. That would have been insane. So also I want to talk about the short hit technique mechanic. I want to clarify something. I want to add on to something. So every enemy within the domain is constantly imbued with energy and marked as a target. So the moment they move or attack, Todo's domain activates a force swap, redirecting their momentum, location, or even their techniques against them, with everything being equal. The short hit makes it impossible for the target to resist being swapped. Even cursed spirits with high resistance are affected. If you move, you try to make an attack. So if you try to punch, you get swapped and you land in a convenient position for Todo to hit a counter. If you decide not to move, like say someone who can launch a curse technique, you launch your curse technique, you still get swapped, your curse technique goes in the wrong direction and you still get hit. Oh man, there's so many ways this could go, but I am going to limit myself to some of these because I don't want to make it too powerful. I don't want Todo to become stronger than Gojo. Ooh, how would infinite swaps counter infinite void? I don't really see how, but that would be a fun argument. Anyways, so if you think about this technique, it's like the perfect technique for like misdirections, split attack, reversal, and counter attacks. And his enemies literally don't know what's going to hit them at any point in time. You never know what's coming for you. This has proved, when we saw the fight against Mahito, to be very annoying. Take the base of Boogie Woogie. Even if you know it's coming, it's still a pain in the ass to deal with. So now imagine where you don't have the visual clue of Todo clapping his hands. It just happens. It happens anytime he wants. It happens anytime you move. Brother, you're gonna lose your mind in there and you're just gonna be taking a beat down from both sides or from him alone. But I think the best way to maximize Todo's ability is to get him fighting with someone like his Besto Friendo, his brother. Because that is the thing with JJK. Jump your opponents, beat them faster. There's no honor in saying, oh no, I'm going to fight him on my own. That is why I love JJK. Jump them, jump them, jump the enemies. If more anime protagonists were jumping their enemies, there is a lot of fights that would have ended faster. So I want to add on some additional abilities that could be within this domain. I know I have already said a lot, but what I want to say is that there's so much potential to this, and all of these don't necessarily have to be in the domain. We could choose which ones stay and which ones go away, okay? They don't all have to exist at the same time. So next, additional abilities within this domain. Now we look at, he can now delay a swap, meaning a swap doesn't occur immediately after a clap, but can be queued and executed at will at a more convenient time. Can you imagine that? Yeah, you're fighting, Todo claps, he does a switch, you guys are fighting, and then randomly at some point, the clap comes back in like last minute saving or something. Or say, for example, maybe his domain expires, but because he had already made that clap, it would be, but for this to work in that sense, it would have to be like a binding vow that any clap that he has queued up will still be effective even if his domain expires. But the way to counter that is that he will have a limited number of queues. Say 1. Let's not go crazy. Let's say he has 1 queued swap where even after his domain has expired, everything is going down and he has one last clap that he can activate without clapping his hands out of his domain. Okay, you have to be one sick binding vow to make it happen, but that's an idea. Okay, imagine if Todo didn't have to physically clap his hands. His hands are always free, rated E for everyone. And he is swapping with Woogie based on the beat or the rhythm that is being played to them by the ginormous speakers that only they can hear, and they are in complete sync, and they're just dishing out the most nasty beat down you can ever have. So when I was thinking of the basis for how the domain would work, we had a major clue from when we got the Boogie Woogie Kai, basically the revised version of Boogie Woogie. After losing his left hand and replacing it with the vibra slap, Todo changed the conditions for activating the Boogie Woogie from a clap to a metal piece hitting a wooden box. This allowed him to perform approximately 50 swaps per second if necessary. Through a binding vow, the range and targets of his technique may also be expanded if the number of swaps per strike on the vibra slap is limited. This is already a premise for how his domain would be possible and the evolution of his curse technique, which is somewhat where I got some of the ideas for how his domain would work. The vibra slap hitting the metal part, hitting the wooden part, making the vibrational sounds, which is why I based the whole, speakers making a rhythm that only he and his friend can hear. Okay, so keeping it with JJK logic, most domain expansions have a drawback, a cooldown or a curse technique burnout period, and a strategic weakness. In our case, I thought the more Todo swaps in a short span of time, the more curse energy his body burns. Todo is not really an energy powerhouse like some of the other characters. He won't be able to use his domain for long. So even thinking about 1 minute, that was too long. 1 minute is too long. After this time, his technique enters a cooldown, leaving him vulnerable. Unless, you remember when I mentioned queued swaps, unless he had already queued a swap that he can use when his domain collapses due to him burning out from lack of cursed energy. So looking at this, you can tell that it's not the most foolproof domain expansion, it's not the most elaborate, and I'll just say that this is like something that I thought it'd be fun. I tried my best to work on it, but yeah, that's what we have to do with. this has been Aoi Todo Domain Expansion. Yoiki Tenkai. Utoraku Shuffle Arena. Okay, I think that was slightly better. I tried my absolutely best to make this, so let me know what you think. I know there's a couple of flaws in my logic, but hey, I'm no Gege Akutami, I'm no Ichiro Oda, I'm no mangaka, so let's just have fun with it. Do you know who would be able to make a really good and professional, accurate video on this topic? Anime Balls Dip. So if you can tag them or if you know them, let them know someone made a video like this and they could definitely make something even better. I know I would pay good money to watch them make a video on this topic. They're literally one of my favorite YouTube channels, and with their Anime Balls Deep certificate, they would be able to build an even crazier structure for these powers. So tag them to this video or send it to them to let them watch. Let them know some guy made some what if JJK video about it. If you want to see more videos like this, if what if more JJK characters unlock their own domain expansions, let me know if you would like to see another video on this topic, and I would work my best to make it happen in the near future. So that's all for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you had a good time watching this. It's been a really long video. I have never made a video this long before, and I'm really hoping that this has really connected you guys and made you like what you see. Please leave me a like, leave me a comment, consider subscribing so you can see more videos from me in the near future, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.